Hey everybody, how you guys doing? This is Dakota. Thanks for being here. I'm sure more people will be tuning in slowly, but hope everyone's doing well. First off, we're all self-isolating, keeping ourselves safe is important, washing our hands, all that good stuff. But I hope you guys are all doing well in your houses. I'm excited to be here and to talk about self-tapes because obviously it's more relevant in this current situation than ever before. Because, we all have to keep acting, right, and keep finding our way to act. So I guess first off, I'm pretty sure most of you guys are familiar with me, but for anybody that's not, I'm just going to first off explain a little bit about myself and just to give you a quick rundown of how this course is going to work with me anyways. I have different sections that I'm going to talk about, and after each section, I'm going to open up for questions. So if you guys have any questions pertaining to the section I just talked about, we're going to have them answer right afterwards. So to try to get all those questions out because I don't want to go back. Yeah, cool. So first off, I've been acting since I was 14, 15. Well, actually younger than that because I did if you guys know Toyo Tires, it's a car, like a big car manufacturer, did tires. I was their poster boy when I was really young, so that was my first experience acting in front of like a little green screen like this, and I had to sit in a little fake car, and they put like a little snow on me, and they would create these little scenarios, and I had to pretend I was driving. So that was my first kind of foray into acting. Now for me, I'm going to tell you kind of the reason why I became an actor and why I wanted to be an actor. I didn't learn to read and write till I was like 14 or 15, so quite late in my life, just some personal stuff that I was born with. So for me, my stories came through movies because I never read books. So I always just watched films, and I loved movies for that reason because I was transported to this kind of other world. And I think for a long time in my acting career, and I'm sure some of you are similar, acting was a way for me to be somebody else other than myself, which felt really nice for a while. But then I got older and I kind of fell in love with the craft of acting and telling a story and the reasons why we tell stories. And then that changed and I kind of became more comfortable with myself and I started loving it just for the art of it. Yeah, so it's been a crazy journey. It's been 10 years. 10 years now, wow. The last project I just finished, luckily before all this happened, I was in Calgary filming a show called Black Summer, which was really fun. So it was my first time getting out of BC and going to another place that I had never been at all, and kind of getting to explore the city while filming and meeting all these people, which was really cool. Calgary's, I know some of you are probably from Alberta, Calgary's a pretty cool place. Like the landscapes are just incredibly beautiful. So it was an amazing experience. And I played another bad guy because that's what I do is I play bad guys. And my hair is brown now. So that kind of was bad timing considering I can't use it now and now we're all just stuck in our houses. That's okay. So self-tapes, so the world of self-tapes. To first start off, I want to explain what a self-tape is. So a self-tape is when you get an audition through your agent or you self-submit and you're not going to be seen by a casting director in person. So they have you tape yourself at home, in your living room, wherever you are, and then you send that tape in, your performance, your kind of view on the character to the casting director or maybe directly to the director, depending kind of what the scenario is. And then they review it and either they get back to you or they don't. Most of the times they don't. It's just, you do all the work, then you send it in, then it just, goes to you, which is kind of the name of the game. But that's okay. So that's kind of in a very basic rundown what a self-tape is taping yourself. It's pretty self-explanatory, right? Now, I think, ironically, the situation that's going on right now, it kind of shows the importance of being comfortable with self-taping and then also learning the technical side of it because we're all stuck in our houses. And as this pandemic hopefully stops soon, I think we'll still have a slow progression back to normally going into the office. It's like for auditions, I don't think it's going to happen the same way. We're going to have to be getting more comfortable with self-taping. It's going to become more regular, which it has been already, even without this pandemic. It's very common for casting directors now to audition people not only from Vancouver, from LA, but from around the world, from New York, London, Tokyo. So your kind of base of competition is growing. It's not only the people you see here locally, it's people around the world that you're competing with and that you guys are taking jobs from them and they're taking jobs from you. I mentioned the Black Summer job, which is interesting about that. With the cast that we had in the episodes that I was in, we had myself from Vancouver, we had someone from Toronto, we had the main girl from Los Angeles, some locals from Calgary, and a girl from New York. And they saw people from all around the world. So it's pretty crazy how global it is and how important it is to be good at taping yourself and learning that process, because it's going to get you opportunities. So yeah, that's why it's important to embrace that. It is a scary thing, and it's something that's taken me a long time myself to get used to. It's like this idea of self-directing is difficult, and I think that's the most difficult part of self-taping, is being comfortable watching your performance back. And I mean, we're gonna see I did a tape for you guys just to show you, and even now I hate it. Like it's tough. Like it's tough to watch yourself because you're always critiquing. You always see the worst kind of parts of your performance. So there's things in this performance you'll see that I definitely don't like, but it's just part of it. At a certain point, you just got to do it and say, I did the work. Hopefully, you did do the work. You did the work in the tape, and you got as many beats as you could, and that's kind of my interpretation of the character. And either it lines up with what they're thinking, and you kind of look like their vision in their mind, or you don't, and you let it go. Yeah. Now, I guess ironically, the benefits of self-taping is the exact opposite of what I just said, which is you get to do it over and over. You get to watch yourself and redo it if you don't like it. So that's the nice part, is that you don't really have the same pressure of going into an audition room. You don't have all the actors that are around you in the waiting room that have all that nervous energy or saying their lines or trying to throw you off or whatever people do, as well as you don't have kind of the pressure of trying to impress this casting director in the same way. But then again, like I said, the trick of it is I think you have to be very disciplined in doing the work and making sure you break down the scene properly, because you don't have the same pressure of going in. But then also you have to think of it in a way of like what are they looking for in the tape? What are they hoping to see in this character? And I have this character breakdown sheet that I created that Amir will show you guys a little bit later on. But Amir, if you could just bring up the audition tape quickly just to show them what it actually looks like, the physical file. He's going to pull it up for you guys. So we're going to watch this full tape later on at the very end of the lesson. But this is what the essential file looks like. So, and I'll break all this down for you guys in a little bit too. But basically, this is the file that I would retransfer my agent. I sent it to Amir in this case because it's not an actual audition. You got it, Amir? It's up there? Yeah. So this is the file that I would send my agent. You saw at the very beginning, that's just a title card, which I'll explain as well a little bit later. Then we go into my scene. At the very end, we have a slate. So that's what essentially the file looks like when you send it out. But we'll go through that in a little bit. So I think first off, I just want to open up for a few little questions so people make sure everybody's on the same page about what a self-tape is and maybe why it's important. If there's anything you don't understand, now's the time. So let's start. Any questions? What's that, Amir?
There's a bit of a delay, so...
Yeah, there's a bit of a delay, so just give me 1 second. It's coming up here. I'm doing well, by the way. Someone's asking. So any questions about the importance? Oh, here we go. Yeah, what's the importance, from Cole. So what's the importance of formatting an MP4? I think MP4 is just the most standard. So I think in a general rule, now, I think to remember, you're sending this to a casting office, right? Now, with each audition, like I use Black Summer again as an example, they may have saw 4,000 people in total, right? And I met with the casting director that was local there for coffee when I was there, and she said for the particular role that I was going for, they sent in 60 tapes. So for the director to watch for the role that I was doing. So with an MP4, it's just the most standard format. So you want to make everything as simple as possible. If that casting director, and hopefully this wouldn't happen, is having a bad day, or their assistant is having a bad day, and the file doesn't open, maybe they just slide it into the junk, like they don't even watch it. So that stuff could happen. I've never heard of it personally, but I think there's definitely situations where that could happen. So you want to make it as easy for them as possible, and MP4 is the most standard. When you're using an app on your phone or on the computer, it just generally downloads an MP4. So I don't think you really need to change that. Do you find having a title card is what all casting offices prefer? Yes, I think that's standard. Just having a general card with your name first. I had on there my first last name and my agencies below that, or I had the character I was reading for below that, and the agencies that I'm represented by below that. It's just a standard thing for them to be able to know exactly who they're reading. Yeah, I think that's probably best just to always do that. We're going to go over the editing software a little bit later on, so I'll show you guys actually how to cut a tape. So I'll come back to that question. From Alona, what would you call a bad self-tape video? What are the no's for self-tape? Yeah, that's a good question. Now, there's different thoughts on that. So I think, for instance, the tape that you'll watch that I did, I'm dressed very standard. Like I always try to dress somewhat in the form of the character, like the way I think that they would dress themselves. But I definitely, when I was younger, I've definitely taken it too far. Like I've definitely overdone it perhaps, and both in self-tapes and both in the room. And I think that's had a negative reaction sometimes because people don't get to see you, like they don't get to see me as Dakota. They only see the character that I'm presenting. And maybe that, like I said, I don't play very nice characters usually, so I think sometimes I can come across as an asshole to people and they're like, I don't want to work with that guy. So I think there's a fine balance that you can find of making sure your own personality comes through, especially in the slate that you're going to do at the end, that sets you apart from the character. Because I think you don't get the luxury of meeting you as a person. So Alona, they don't get to see that you're, this awesome, talented person who's really passionate. They just get to see the character you're playing. Maybe you're playing a bitch, and they're like, oh, like maybe that girl's not very fun to work with. Like I don't want to work with her, because part of it is working with people. It's the personalities. So I think you always want to find a way to show your personality through. And I guess going on that point too, bad self-tape just in general, like technical aspects would be having something that's really distracting behind you. The one I did that I'm going to show you guys, I didn't use any. This is all my equipment that I've invested in, which we'll go through. But I didn't use any of that because I wanted to show you how you could do it just using stuff you have around your house. So I think you always want to find a way to make it look as smooth as possible. Yeah, so I think technically speaking, a bad self-tape would include a really distracting backdrop. Maybe you have like a shirt that's like has something vulgar on it or has like stripes on it that's distracting. You have lots of sound going on. You'll hear a siren going through mine, but it was the best take, so I took it. Sometimes it happens, and if you can just play with it in the world, then it's fine. But if you have really distracting noise going on, we'll go through readers in a little bit too. But if your reader is maybe overacting and it's taking away from your performance, that's not good either. So those are some things there. Let me just catch up on some of the questions here. So question from Zach. Would you do a monologue for a self-tape or dialogue with a reader off camera? I think it depends. Well, it depends on if it's an audition. If you're just doing a so I'm going to say no, because most auditions you get won't be a monologue. There might be a monologue within a scene, but you're usually directing that monologue to somebody. So whether that person that you're reading with has a lot of dialogue or not, it's still a scene with them. So it's not very typical you get a monologue. But if you're doing something, Zach, if you're wanting to tape yourself to use as part of your reel or just to showcase your ability, yeah, you can do a monologue. I think that's fine, especially if you don't have access to a reader. It definitely makes it simpler. You don't need to find someone else. So that's totally fine. But I just don't think you'll end up doing a lot of monologues with auditions in general because these don't happen very often, especially in TV. They're kind of afraid of monologues. Maybe in like HBO or a good show that's not scared of the writing, but you would never find that in like a CW show, I wouldn't think. That's not entirely true. I guess there was one in Sabrina, but that was pretty rare. So I think you'll most likely do a scene with a person. Now, does it matter if the title card is at the beginning or the end? I always put my title cards at the beginning because I put my slate at the end. It's a trick I learned because, again, I don't want to give them any reason to say no. So if my slate is at the beginning and they don't like my face, they can just throw it away, right? I'd rather them watch my scene first and have my performance draw them in, whether my face is enjoyable to look at or not. So that's why I always put my slate at the beginning and my title card my slate at the end and my title card at the beginning, just because it's a title card and it's hard to say no just to words. Is there a better way to drop it to them without having to compress the video? I don't ever drop any files. This is from Riley, by the way. I don't ever drop any files. I just upload them to WeTransfer. It's free. You can send a certain amount of files per day. It just sends them directly to your agent or your manager or to the director or whoever you're sending it to, and then they can just directly download it. So I think it's just simpler. What usually happens is my agent will download it, then he'll upload it to his Dropbox, and they send a link. So I guess depending, Riley, on the agent you're with, the agent you'll be with, they sometimes would prefer you do it directly to Dropbox, so it just skips a step. But for me, I've always done it through WeTransfer, and he's never said anything. So that's what I do. Yeah. What is an MP4? Just Google that, Kennedy. That's a Google question for sure. For the backdrop, I can see you have one behind you. Is it 5x7? Yeah, I mean, that's pretty impressive that you could just call that out. I'm an actor. I don't know measurements very well. So yeah, I would say it's taller than me. So I'm not 7 feet. So that sounds about right. It's just a standard one. I have a sheet again that Amir will pull up in a little bit that has this equipment I found on Amazon or the stuff that I found available. If you guys want to look at investing in certain things, you could just go to the Amazon links and you can find them. I spent about $140 or $60 on all this a couple years ago, so maybe it's a little more expensive now. But it was a good investment for me just because I've worked a little bit, so I've made some money through it, and I felt that it was time to invest in this stuff so I could have good quality tapes. But again, we're going to go through the different options of like doing a tape from home with no equipment to doing tapes with the stuff I have here. So yeah, it's probably about the size that you mentioned. I think that's about right. And it folds up in a nice little bag, by the way, so it's pretty easy to transport. Does it matter if you're seated or standing? It totally depends on the scene. Some scenes will be sitting, obviously, depending on how it's written, and some will be standing. So I think that's entirely up to the scene. The one that I'm going to show you, I'm standing. Now, funny enough, I've been in auditions where they're running out of time and they're pressuring you. So the scene should be sitting, and they're just like, just do it standing because the camera's set up. So that's the benefit again of a self-tape, is there isn't the pressure there. You can just take your own time and do it as many times as you want. And be sitting if you prefer to be sitting, or start standing and then sit down. That's totally fine. Just have someone move the camera in a very nice, smooth way so it doesn't look distracting. So that's totally normal as well. What cameras are best for using this and adaptable to upgrade for sound, etc.? That's from Colin. So I use my phone. So again, I'm going to show you guys how to do that. Most people have a decent phone. So I've never used a camera. I've just used my cell phone. And my phone's actually kind of old, so it's not even that good anymore. So it's probably time to, maybe after this pandemic, to invest in a new one. But my phone has pretty good sound. I mean, every iPhone, I think that's relatively new, would have good sound. And you can buy adapters. I used to have an adapter for an old phone that I would just stick on. But I found it doesn't really make a difference. I mean, the phones are pretty awesome nowadays. So I think you're good enough just using your cell phone. I don't think you need to invest in getting an actual mic. Maybe at a certain point, if you're really feeling like the quality of your sound is not getting there, then maybe put that money in. But I think off the top, I think your phone is totally good enough, and it's totally reasonable. Now, a question from Kennedy again: do you recommend makeup? I think it depends on the person. I don't usually wear makeup. I don't usually wear a lot of makeup on set either, so I wouldn't do it. It just feels unauthentic to me, and it doesn't really make a difference. Maybe if I'm doing something very specific, like a weird kind of sci-fi thing, or like a period piece that I felt like the makeup would attribute to the character, then yes. But I think any decision you make about that has to be character driven. It just can't be just because you don't like, I don't look super pretty at this moment and I want to make sure I look super dolled up. If the character is haggard and that's the way she looks, then do that, then commit to that, you know? I mean, you could wear makeup for the slate if you want to, just to show that you look a certain way or you present yourself in a professional manner, and that's totally fine. But I think it has to be character driven when it comes to the scene. Let me look here. Should I look like my headshots for the self-tape? Or can I make adjustments depending on the character from Alona? Totally, make adjustments. I mean, the headshot is what got you the audition because you look enough like what they're seeing, but then dive into the character, I think, for sure. Especially, like I said, if it's a character that isn't, you know, just classic CW and you get a chance to really do something gritty, then jump into that and do whatever you need to do. Put your hair up, you know, have it down, curl it, whatever you think, again, is character driven, do that. That's the most important thing, is, again, focus on what the character requires in the moment of the scene. What about a Bluetooth headset for better sound from Crystal? Can you rephrase what you mean by that? Do you mean, yeah, I'm not sure. Do you mean like you're wearing a headset? Can you rephrase that question? That'd be helpful. Franny says, I have some microphones. Yeah, great. If you have a microphone and it helps you and you think it gives you better sound, then totally do it. You want to make, I think, your tape as good quality as you can, for sure. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next section because we only have about 2 hours. Crystal, if you want to rephrase that question, I will come back to it if I see it again. Okay, so the next section here is how can you do a self-tape? Just a general idea of like how you can actually set one up. So I'm going to get off the chair. I'm going to show you guys the 3 different options in terms of different setups you can make. So here we go. Okay, so setup 1 is what I would call like a, you know, quote unquote professional setup. So this is the stuff that I've invested in because I got to a certain point where I was doing a lot of tapes for Los Angeles and Vancouver as well, and it just made sense for me to put some money into making sure my tape looks good. So this is a backdrop. I'll move it over for you guys. This backdrop has 2 sides. There's a green side, there's a blue side. I am usually blonde, so usually blue is better for me, and I think green is just a little bit bright, so it's a little distracting, so I've never used the green side actually, but if you wanted to, I guess you could. For me, blue works best. Now, there's different colors. It doesn't always come in blue and green. You can get just a neutral white one, or you can get like a gray one, whatever you feel. Some people have like a sheet that they pin to the wall that's like a nice blue, same color, that just stays up there. I have friends that have painted walls that do a lot of tapes, so that's all fair game. But I would put this behind me. I usually have it kind of horizontal. It just gives me some space to move around in the scene. I would have it a little higher, obviously, so it doesn't cut off my head. So I'd probably put this maybe up here so I can, you know, get a nice frame when I'm filming myself. Now, this is the light that I've purchased. It's just a general light. It has different kind of lighting. I'm just so you guys can see. Yeah. So this part here can slide out, so if you want to make it a little bit brighter, you can take this part out. But also on the back, it has buttons where I can turn up. So I can make it brighter, I can make it darker, I can change the tone of the light. I could change the tone of the light. Maybe I've dropped it and I can't change it now. I think it was actually dead, so I charged it. But anyways, it does change from like a cooler light to a warmer light. So this has been really good for me. I usually place this just off center. You don't, you know, if you're the camera, let's say you're my phone and I'm doing my self-tape to you, I wouldn't want to place it directly in front of me. It just kind of looks like a spotlight and doesn't look very good. So I usually would pair this, I'll put it off to the side, and I might pair it with one of my house lights, or it's like a lamp on this side if I want to even it out a little bit. Or I would use this here. So this is just a little bounce. So I would put this down below, usually below me here, so it bounces up into my eyes, so they can see my eyes nice and clearly. So I would stick it on a box or something, whatever you would find, and I just put it right here so it bounces up into your eyes a little bit. Then in addition to that, here is my tripod. So I use this for my phone. This is a little piece that I have it's a little mini tripod I have too, just from like going in a hotel room or something and I need to tape. But I'll take this off, I'd attach it here, and I actually stick my phone in here, and I just tape myself with my phone. So super simple. You just set it up, and this thing adjusts goes up and down. I can change the height of the actual stand so I can go up higher. So because I play a lot of bad guys, I usually, well, I should say depending on the scene, again, it's all character driven, but since I play a lot of bad guys and usually they're more powerful characters in a scene, I usually feel myself a little bit lower, so I kind of have more of a posture that's higher up, looking down on the camera, so it makes the person watching, the casting assistant or the casting director, feel a little bit inferior, as if they were the character or the audience that I'm intimidating, because I do a lot of intimidation in my scenes. But then again, depending on the character, you can go up a little bit higher if you're playing the opposite of that, which is like a weaker character that's being intimidated by someone, and you kind of want to look, the camera can look down on you a little bit, makes you look a little bit smaller, makes you look a little bit weaker, which is really nice. Now, I usually, when I have my phone up here, I usually frame myself around this place here. Now, with the editing software that I have, I can crop in. So, it's not really a big deal. Like, I can be a little bit wider, then I can cut in, or I can just come directly wider if I want to make sure the eyes are nice and clear. It's really all about the eyes, making sure that the performance is really seen in the eyes. Ironically, the tape I'm going to show you, I don't think I accomplished that super well, just because I was in like a really confined space. So sometimes that happens, and there's nothing you can do. But in an ideal situation, if you have a nice open space like this, like a living room, you want to make sure that the eyes are really clear, because that's where the performance comes from. All the body language, I guess I should say with scenes in general, a lot of the physical action, I usually cut that stuff out. I just minimalize it, just for the sake of the audition. I do that in the room as well as with a self-tape. Because if it's a really physical scene, I don't need to be running everywhere, going in and out. I do go in and out a little bit in the scene that you'll see, because there's a lot of exits and entrances in that scene, so it felt kind of nice for him to exit and come back in with a different thought, because he's being quite intimidated in the scene, as you'll see. But generally, I just cut down the action and really simplify it, really honing in on the really key parts. So if it's like a romantic scene, if there's a moment where the two characters connect, I just find that most authentic moment, which is like when they see each other for the first time and they have that connection. Right? So just find those moments. I think those are really crucial for self-tapes, and a lot of times you can really simplify all the action. So that's the quote-unquote professional setup. Again, I'm going to send you, we're going to share a document that has all the links to all these types of things that you can find on Amazon. There's cheaper versions, there's better versions. It depends on what you want. But again, there's other options, which I'm going to show you right now. So the one I did for you guys that we're going to show you, it's as if I didn't have any of this equipment, right? So I kind of wanted to take on the perspective of somebody that was just starting out, that didn't invest in this stuff and didn't have the money to, which is totally fair and totally makes sense. It's a hard time right now. So I probably wouldn't invest in this right now if I was starting out, just because it wouldn't make sense. But you can still achieve good quality tapes with stuff you have at your house. It's pretty simple. So basically just a general bed sheet that I got. If you had, let's say this is a wall, you could pin this against a wall. You probably would want to make sure that the wrinkles are out of this a little more than that are in right now. Or you have like a clothing rack, you can hang this over a clothing rack, or just find a way to stick it up on a wall so it hangs nice and loose, so it's not distracting, basically. So we're going to pretend this is a wall, hang this up here. Again, totally the same deal. Just want to have it in a way so it's a nice general background, so that it's not distracting for the person that's watching. As another option, if you didn't want to do this, you could just do it against a white wall. If you had a blue wall, like I said, if you painted a wall, always do it against that. If you have just a standard looking flat surface that doesn't have a lot of dimension or a lot of shadow, I think is probably the best case scenario. So just find that in your place, or find a way to make that within your place with a bed sheet, for example. Now this is just a piece of I guess it's just poster board really, that I bought from the dollar store that would replace this. This one obviously has a little more reflection, but this does the same thing. I mean, totally get reflection on that. And this is honestly just as good. There's no reason to invest in this if you don't have to right away. So this is I spent $1.50 on this, and this will get you the same results. Now, when it comes to lights, I'm just going to pull over a light here that I have. So this is just kind of a cool lamp light that I have at my place that has different levels, which is kind of neat. I unfortunately don't know where I got this from, so don't ask me to share a link because I don't know. But you could probably find one, just maybe Google it. This is really cool because it has different levels, so it kind of does the same thing as my light I just showed you, which is really nice. But again, I would set this up probably a little bit closer to me. Let's say this is a table. I would set it up like right there. Again, it lights me from this side. I probably would find a secondary lamp to put on this side or use the house lights. Again, even yourself out. If you're playing like a villainous character, which again, I do a lot, it might be nice to have a little bit of shadow. There's nothing wrong with that, to have a little dimension in the face. Just make sure it doesn't cover your eyes so it's distracting. Now, this I guess would be your at-home setup that you would pair with a cell phone. So the one thing that you would need, that I would recommend that everybody invests in, is some sort of tripod. You don't need something that's expensive, but something that holds your phone, because it's important that the video is clear, that it's not shaky, it's not someone holding with their hands, right? That's gonna be something that's gonna kill your tape. Like, it's gonna be so hard to watch that. And there's gonna be tapes that are coming in for that same role that people have the professional gear, which you'll get the same results with the stuff I just showed you, but if their camera is very still and it doesn't distract their performance and yours isn't, then they're gonna get the job because it's just easier to watch, and the shaky camera is gonna take away from the great work you're doing. So I would always recommend investing in some sort of version of this. It doesn't have to be as sturdy as this. I think this was maybe $100. Probably find something cheaper on Craigslist. Maybe people are selling it on Facebook Marketplace, that kind of stuff. There's lights at Costco, for instance, things like that. So there's different options that are available to you. I think you just have to think out of the box. You can't always just think like, I need to go to like Best Buy and buy something from there because it's more expensive. And you can repurpose things in your house that can give you the same quality tape. You can use an industrial light. You can use a lamp. You can use this guy. Get something like this, which is I was given this actually. This was free, which is great. Like it comes with this little phone attachment that I just stick on there, and I can just stack this up. Like I'll show you guys. I just stacked this up on a bunch of boxes in the tape that I did for you guys, and that achieved the same thing. But the idea is you need the phone to be very still so it doesn't distract from the tape. So, if let's say you're starting out and you're booking a few jobs, buy a tripod, for the first thing, and pair it with your house lights and a piece of poster board, and then you get another job and you buy another light from like a film light like this, or a light from Costco that works, and you just slowly build up on your gear, which that's what I did exactly. So I would just first off find something that's like this, that gives you a really steady camera that you can film your audition with. We're going to open up for some questions a little bit, but I'm going to get Amir to play the behind the scenes tape I made for you guys of the audition that I did, that I'll show you guys in a little bit. I did this last night. It shows you the setup that I did. It's totally wonky. It's totally like a, what we call like a hotel slate tape. So Amir, if you could play that, that'd be awesome. This is in my basement, by the way. So just to give you a quick idea of the setup that I used to tape that audition. Can I come up there? The backdrop was just a sheet that I hung over top of this bench press rack. Then here, I'm sitting on an old ironing board, is my phone, which I use to tape the audition. It's on top of a garbage can. Then my friend Darren read through Skype. This is just before I did the audition. So he'll read through Skype on my computer, stacked up on a couple of different boxes that I found in the basement. And this is the light that I used, as well as with house lights, just a lamp that I found in the basement stacked on a bunch of stuff that I found again. So this is how you can do a self-tape if you have to complete it. Really all I had here was my cell phone and this little kind of tripod that I have. I do have professional equipment, but I wanted to show you what it was like to complete a self-tape without it. if I was, casting this job, I probably wouldn't hire myself just because of the performance. See, that's the problem with self-tapes. You're critical, right? But, the quality of the tape, I think, is totally reasonable. I would probably, again, you'll watch the tape in a little bit, I probably would have a better backdrop than the one that I did. I wasn't super happy with it. But in terms of how it looked, I think it's totally reasonable. Which also, I guess, would segue me into my next section, but first I'm going to open up for some questions. Just waiting for the questions. So if you guys have any questions about how to do a self-tape, or in your particular scenario, any questions about how to make something work. I heard someone said they live in a hotel room in PEI, and that's basically what they did, which is great. That's from Franny. So if you guys have any situations like that, any questions about how you can get a tape done, which you guys are going to have to do one, it's going to be part of their assignment later on, now's the time. Okay, from Alexia, so what information goes into a slate and what order does it come in? So a slate, again, we're going to watch that and I'll go through it, but I can touch on that quickly right now. A slate is a way for the casting directors, just to explain what it is first off. Casting directors, director, producers, whoever is watching your audition to see a bit of your personality. So I think you always want to find your own unique way to showcase your personality. So that's up to you to discover what that is for you, that works for you. But basically general information would be your name. So for my instance, Dakota Daulby, I'm 5'10", represented by Andrew Webster in Vancouver and Ali Ash Entertainment in Los Angeles. And I'm reading for the role of Paul in the audition that you'll see. In whichever order you prefer, sometimes I put my name last, sometimes it's first. But you have to read the audition material. The casting directors will sometimes have specific requirements, or the different studios will have specific requirements for what they want in your slate, and also how to actually name your audition too, which is something we should touch on. So make sure you always carefully read that stuff and you follow it, because a lot of people don't. And I can guarantee you that affects them, because if you can't even name your slate or you name your audition in the proper format that they're requiring, why would they hire you? You obviously aren't thinking. You're not putting the time in, you're not paying attention. So it reflects in that way. Amir, could you actually quickly show how I named my audition? He's gonna pull it up for you guys so you guys can see it. Cole, I'll get to your question in a second. That's a good question. He's pulling it up for you guys here. Oh, it's up there. Okay, so I named it, the audition or the scene that I was doing was from a movie called Unfaithful, a Richard Gere movie, which is, I've never seen the movie actually, I've just read the script, which is really good. I would recommend reading it. It's a cool read. It's online. So I named it Unfaithful dash, I believe my name, right, Amir? Dakota Daulby? Then Paul, or Paul first? Yeah, so Unfaithful, the project, character, Paul, my name. So just generally how I typically name the auditions when I send them to my agent. Again, if there is a specific requirement, I would abide by that. Sometimes they have you send, for instance, your slate, your first scene, your second scene, and your third scene, if there's a third. Fox often does this in separate files. So they're not all one slate, it's all separate entities on its own. I think because they don't want to watch the full slate and they just want to watch your slate, and if they don't, if they don't think you look like the character, they just throw all of it in the trash bin. But that's just my assumption, which sucks, but it happens. Okay, so going back to Cole's question, do you have any soundproofing of your self-taping area? I don't. That's why you'll hear a siren going through, which actually wasn't my siren. It was coming through the Skype from my friend who lives in LA. So that siren is from Los Angeles because of all the craziness that's happening there. No, I don't. I typically try to find a location that's just quiet. Sometimes it's not possible, and it's just not possible. But just try to find the quietest area you have in your space, or go to a friend's place when it's safe to do that, to tape yourself. Or just talk to, if you live with roommates or you live in a basement. I think if you're renting from someone, you're living in a basement, maybe it's a little difficult to have that conversation, because they're like, what's an audition tape? Like, no, like, leave me alone. But I think it just comes up to finding the quietest place in your home, in your space. Is it better to have the ceiling light on or off if it isn't very bright? That's a good question. Again, I think it depends on the space. It's hard to know. Usually it's off. Usually I try not to position myself right underneath a light, because again, it does that spotlighting effect, which doesn't look very good usually. And for some reason, I look like an Oompa Loompa quite often on my phone. So I have to be very careful with my light. It turns me orange. Maybe because I was blonde before and now I'm not, so that's not happening. But I typically try to avoid overhead lights. Sometimes I'll place myself, like for instance, there's lights to the left of me right now, there's nothing to the right, so I would place myself more to the right and use that kind of left-facing light to light this part of my face. Then maybe put the other light, the lamp there to fill this part of it in. You just want to find a way to make it even. So I would avoid, again, right directly on and right above you. I just think that kind of gives a weird spotlighting effect that doesn't look very good. Any other questions about that? Oh, okay, that's a good note. Someone's saying, just by the way, London Drugs sells a lot of this equipment, so that's great. Yeah, there's great places you can find equipment that's quite cheap. And someone mentioned earlier that they bought a tripod from Value Village. So those are great resources just to go look, and like I said, Facebook Marketplace, Amazon, just type onto Facebook, hey, is anybody selling anything for cheap right now? And you'll find people that have it, because it's quite common. What if your best light option is a window? What's best? What's the best angle? A window is actually awesome. If I'm doing an audition during the day and I have a nice space that I can set all this stuff up, and I have front-facing windows and it's daytime, I always prefer to use that, because natural light is always going to look better. So that's a great option if you can do that. What do you mean, Crystal, about what's the best angle in terms of what? So just explain that a little further for me. That would be helpful. But yeah, window actually is fantastic. So good you brought that up, because natural light is phenomenal. I mean, that's one of the best lights. So if you're going to do audition during the day, I always try to utilize the light if I can, the natural light, and maybe fill it in with a bit of house lighting too. But natural light is always the best. So what's the best angle in lighting your face? So like I said, always to keep the light off, not directly onto you, have it off to the side, kind of like a 40 or 60 degree angle is good. And make sure I try to fill in both sides personally. I'm not a lighting technician, so I kind of just, depending on the space I'm in, I do tapes at a lot of different places, like my friends' places or just wherever I am. I'm going to literally carry this equipment in my car with me. So whenever I have an audition, I just, hey, can I tape with you? And I go to their place. So depending on the place and the physical space you're in, but just not directly on your face. Best time of the day, I think that would depend again where you're living and the type of light that you have coming into your place. Morning is usually nice. I would probably, if it's summertime, I probably wouldn't avoid doing it 1 or 2 p.m., like midday, just because the light is super bright. And if you don't have a window the light hits it directly, I think that's totally fine, because you're just going to get a nice soft light anyways. But if the light's coming directly on you, it might be really harsh, and again, it would do that spotlighting effect, which would be bad. So in that case, I would, cover the light. I'll do the opposite. Now, I'm going to go on to the next section now, okay, which is talking about readers. So in the audition that I'm going to show you guys in a bit, I chose not to use my family as readers, for one, because they're bad readers. So that's, a problem. And two, obviously we're in isolation, so I can't have anybody come over. So I just Skyped my friend, which I've done that before. Not even with this isolation, I've done that once before, and it works great. sometimes a delay, which is frustrating, but it's the way it goes. But I Skype my friend. I set up the laptop, as you saw in the video, kind of close to my camera. So if I'm playing you guys as my phone, I would always set my eye line like just directly off. So I'm looking at a speaker right now, it's a little ways off, or I might set it up there a little bit above if I'm looking at a more powerful character, or down below. I try to keep it, relatively close to the camera so my eyes don't get lost, right? That's actually a good note is either being very specific if you have a lot of eye lines in your scene of where those people are or with our objects are, or simplifying it. If there's a way to combine two characters into one for the sake of the audition, I sometimes do that just so I'm not doing a lot of looking around, So I'll place someone there and I might place somebody there, right? So it gives the illusion that I'm looking at different people. But my friend Darren, who is another actor, he was talking to me through Skype. So that's a great option. Now you can also use, if you're living at home, you can use your mom, dad, friends, roommates. You can record yourself saying the lines back to you. Some people do that. I don't like that personally. There's different apps you'd have to find. I don't know them off by heart, so you'd have to look up that on your own. I just think that's very distracting, and I'm maybe just because I'm naturally blonde, I can never figure out the app. So I spend like 20 minutes trying to record myself saying the words, and I just get pissed off and screw it. I'm just gonna go, Skype a friend, or just, get my mom to help me, or my sister who, rolls her eyes and comes down and helps me. But you can, find family, friends or family is a great option. I think to remember though, if you're not working with someone that's not an actor, or if you are even working with someone that's an actor, is they're not in the scene. So they don't need to be, doing an Oscar-winning performance behind the camera. It's just gonna take away from your performance up front. I think it's important that if it's an actor, they give you the different beats that you require for the scene, and the constant eye contact, or the eye contact that's necessary for the scene, but they don't need to be, being Meryl Streep behind the camera, right? It's distracting, I think. We're just gonna quickly clean the lens. Give us a second here. Oh, hey, on that one now. That's great. So I think a thing to remember, especially if you're helping each other with your audition tapes, is you don't need to be doing a crazy performance for another actor. You just need to be getting the lines correct first and foremost, and you need to be hitting the proper beats. So if that means cutting someone off, if that means jumping in on a line, or it means giving them a moment of time that they asked for whatever beat that they require for the scene, then make sure you're getting those things. But I think on a general note, just when it comes to readers, I think a lot of people, they see a lot of obstacles when it comes to tapes, I'm in isolation, so I can't have anybody come over, so I can't do this tape right now. It's not possible. It's always possible. And as an actor, it's your job is to audition. That's your job. And once in a while you get to work on set, which is a blessing and an amazing thing when that happens. But your job is to be someone who auditions day in and day out. So get good at that, because that's what you're gonna do most often, And I think no is a terrible excuse, because there's always a way to accomplish it. It may not be the best tape, it may not look the best, but at least you get it done. And every tape you do is gonna make you better at doing audition tapes, which is gonna line you up for the moment when you book that job. Because you've done all this work, you've done a billion really shitty tapes, and you figured out all the kinks, and you figure out how to, talk to someone on Skype, and you get that great job. So I don't think ever let no be the thing that gets in the way. There's always a way. Just be creative and do it. So I'll take maybe one more question if anybody has one before we move on to the next section. Okay, no more questions. Okay, no problem. So we're gonna go on to a next section, which is cutting your tape. I'm gonna show you guys the raw files for the audition that I did last night. And I'm gonna cut for you guys the tape together using Microsoft Movie Editor. It's just a program. I have a Microsoft computer, so that's what I use. But if you have an iPhone, you could use iMovie. There's different options out there. Find the best one for you. My first time using this computer, so bear with me. Again, I'm naturally blonde, so don't let the brown hair fool you. There will be some kinks. But yeah, I'm gonna go over there now, okay? Hey everybody, so I am at the computer right now. So let me just drop this window. So for those of you that have, and for those of you who don't know, Amir is obsessed with Morrissey, so it's everywhere. Like these computers are brand new and there's already Morrissey on them. And if you don't, this is just a side fact for you guys, you guys don't know this, but Amir's haircut is styled after Morrissey, which it took me, I'm sorry to say, like maybe 5 years to figure out. But yes, so maybe next time you see him, you can bug him or just send him a Facebook message. That'd be great. So you would go into this little search bar right here. So I would go, yeah, just actually can click it right here. So photos, click it here. It's gonna go back. So it kind of comes up like this, usually for me. So then I go to video editor, okay? I type in new video project. So I would name this, we're gonna use the audition that I did as an example. So it's called Unfaithful is the project. So I would type it Unfaithful as the project, dash Paul is the character I played, then dash my name. Oh, told you, there's gonna be some hiccups. My name, okay. Go into okay. And you go up here, you can go to add from this PC, and these are the two files here. Cool. So I'm gonna drop these into the storyboard. So that's my slate, or no, that's my actual audition, and this is my slate here. So we can play this, and afterwards I'm gonna play you guys the full audition, which we'll discuss. So don't worry about stopping and starting, and even if you're interested, I don't know if you're interested in watching this performance or not, but you're gonna watch it anyways. So here we go. So this is what my wonderful backdrop looked like. I know it's not ideal. So yes, I wouldn't obviously keep that part of it just because I'm walking in. So I would pause it, press trim, then I would pull this forward to the moment where I walked in. I'd probably do something like, let's see what that looks like. Yes. Yes. Yeah, I might do that. That might be good. I would do that. I would do that because I'm gonna do a title card, which will fade in, and the character walks into the scene anyways, so that's fine with me. I would be happy with that. Then it's just, for this audition, it's just one scene, so I'm gonna skip forward to the very end. Let me find the ending here. I don't know. I guess you wanted to buy me something. And by the way, I hope you guys enjoy this stash. It took me a month to grow that. I'm just joking, but it took me a while.
I gave it to her. And I can't.
Oh yeah. So this weird face I'm making, was water? I get hit in the head and I get killed. Now I hate this ending, but we're gonna keep it in anyways because that's what happens sometimes. But just I'm dying. That's me dying. It's my death face, which I have done a few times. So I think I should be good at that by now. Which I haven't learned, I guess. I don't know. I need to go back to school. Okay, anyways, so that's trimmed. And represented by Andrew Webster in Vancouver. Yes, we know that. Oh yeah, okay. So that's trimmed there. So that's basically how it would look. Oh.
You're Paul Martel.
I am Paul Martel, but why don't you see me? Okay, then let's just show this too quickly. Hi, this is Dakota Daulby. Why is it black right 5'10", I represent... Do you know? 1 second. One second. By Andrew Webster.
In all the time, or do you?
Oh, maybe. Hi, this is Dakota. Maybe it's just
I
loading.
can't do this.
What?
I don't feel well.
Do you want some water?
No.
Okay. So let's just see if this plays all the way through. Hi, this is Dakota Daulby. I'm 5'10". All right, we'll come back to that. I think it's just loading anyways. So this is this part here is the full audition tape. So I would add a title card before that, right? Press the text button there. Oh, nope, 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 nope. Back. No. Cancel. Done. Yes, there we go. I'm back, don't worry. Text. I would do something always simple. Like you don't need to like have it like, you know, bold or cinema. Maybe cinema would be nice. I'll try that one. But I wouldn't do like anything like pixel or anything that's like, it's just, you might think it's cool and you might think it's like, oh, it's kind of like the character, but I almost guarantee you, like from a different perspective, from someone that's just watching this the first time and doesn't know your personality, they would just think it's stupid and they probably would just be annoyed because they're, you know, assistants and they're just tired of watching the same audition over and over. So I wouldn't do that. So I would type your name. Again, I'm Dakota. Have it first, and then below it, I would write Paul Martell is the character. Then below that, I would write my agency, Andrew Webster. I have 2 agents. I won't put the other one here just because it would take. I honestly don't remember how to spell the name. I'm being completely honest. I was gonna lie, but I was like, no, I can't. There's no reason. Let's see. So, and I would change the color. Let's go back. Let's change the color. Let's change the background color to black because the green was just weird. Okay. Then I would change the duration to 3 seconds. Is a little long. Maybe we'll do like, let's say 1.5 seconds. I think is doable. So let's see what that looks like. Oh, that was. Yeah. Yeah, who knew 1.5 seconds was so short? Let's do longer. Maybe 3 was good. Maybe Microsoft knew. I think they knew. They knew what I wanted before I knew. Let's see what that looks like. Nice little fade out, fade in.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, seeing that, I'm gonna retract what I said. I'm gonna take out the beginnings. I think it looks stupid. I think that walk-in was dumb. It was a bad choice. It just was bad, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's see what this looks like.
Yes.
Yeah, I wonder why it does this. Do you have an idea? Just a black screen like that? Just loading, perhaps?
Let's play it up there, see if it plays.
Can I save? How do I? Can I save this?
I'm not familiar with this program.
Yeah, it's okay. 1 second here. I wonder why it's doing that.
Yes.
Oh, you guys hear the siren? Yeah. It's nice, isn't it? Let's just do this for a second. Let's go back and we'll come back into it.
Yes.
Nice, there we go. It's like the classic turn off, turn on the computer and everything's fixed. It's like, you know, when you talk to computer people about that, it's like, I don't know, I just turned the computer off and I turned it on and it should work now. And they're like, no, that's not how computers work. That's my classic fix. Okay, let's skip forward to the tape, or to the slate, pardon me. There's so many things running on this computer, so it's a little bit laggy. It's quite the face to land on, though. Come on.
Thanks.
Okay, let's watch this.
Hi, this is Dakota Daulby. I'm 5'10". I'm represented by Andrew Webster in Vancouver and Ali Ash Entertainment in Los Angeles. Thanks.
Okay, so I would trim this, because I think I said it a few times because I was like, I was trying to figure out what I was doing with my life.
Hi, this is Dakota Daulby. I'm 5'10". I'm represented by Andrew Webster in Vancouver and Ali Ash Entertainment in Los Angeles. Thanks.
Okay, so I would end it right there because they don't need to see me leave.
Hi,
And I might speed this part up a little bit too.
Hi, this is Dakota Daulby.
Yeah, so I'm happy with that. Done. So going back to it, so again, the reason why I put my slate at the end is because I don't want them to see me and be like, oh, that's not what the character looks like without, that's in all seriousness, that's not how I envision the character, and then have them discard my tape because of my slate, not because of how I sound or anything like that, just because of my pure look. You know, that's not how they envision the character. I'd rather them watch my audition tape here and then have me draw them in and have them, you know, think I did a good job for the character, or like maybe I made a wrong, you know, maybe I wasn't exactly what they were thinking, like in terms of how the character looked, but the audition itself was good enough for them to be persuaded. So that's why I always put this last, okay? So that's basically how you cut together. It's a really fast one. I have one cut together already that I'm going to show you guys, but then you just go to finish video. You would export it in whatever quality you want, probably high. I mean, there was no reason why not to do that, and then export the video. Okay. And before, again, standard format just saves to, I would keep it listed as this, like whatever. Again, this is the name of the production or the film that you're auditioning for, the character's name, and your name. Again, pay attention if there is specific requirements from the different studio that you're auditioning for. Okay, so I'm not going to export it just because it doesn't need to be exported. And I'm going to go over here. I'm going to pull up the actual MP4. So this is the one that I edited myself. Right here. Okay, so I guess first off, before I jump into that, any quick questions about the last little part? And I'd be happy to answer those right now. Hi, I'm back. Hopefully that wasn't too frustrating for you to watch me struggle with a computer. I actually I have the same computer. I should know how to use it, but I don't. Gosh, thank God I'm an actor. Oh my God, I would be like, I think I would just die. I don't know how to do anything. Okay, to questions. Should we put the name of the agency as well, or just our agent name? I usually put the name of the agency because some agencies have a lot of agents a part of them. Once you get down to LA, a lot of the bigger agencies will have like 30 or 40 agents, so they won't know who that person is. And if you're with a recognizable agent, then having that a part of your audition on itself will give you some clout, because people will associate that agency with the caliber of work and assume that you're a good performer because they have you on their roster. So I would go with the agency name. How many takes do I usually do? A lot. I mean, as many as it takes. The one I did for this audition, I did just because I didn't want to use all my friends' time. I did 3 or 4, and it's a long scene. So, but do as many as you want. I mean, I have some friends that do 20 takes, which is exhausting. Like, we're there till 2 in the morning, and it's like, dude, just like, it's the same. Like, nothing's changed. Like, it's been the same since the 6th take. Can we just go home? But, you know, they want to get it right, which is great. I mean, kudos to them for having the passion to do that. Just make sure you buy the person a case of beer or whatever you're going to do. If you're going to do like 30 takes, if you're that person. But as many as it takes. For me, I usually get burnt out. Like I think I'm getting to a place where I know at a certain point, I'm just doing the same thing over and over. So there's no point in me doing it over and over because like I'm just going to get frustrated and I'm just going to get worn down with the scene. I'd rather, and I usually end up using one of the first takes anyways because they're more spontaneous and I'm not predicting all the things that are happening in the scene. Whereas when you're doing it 20 times, maybe you start predicting every beat because you're just so used to the words now. Oh, good. That's good. Somebody, Zach understood me clearly, which is great. That's nice. So is the hi and thanks at the beginning and end of the slate a requirement? Most definitely not. It's just a thing that I am stuck on doing. Probably a bad habit, honestly, that you don't want to copy. I don't know. I just always done that. So if you can not do that, Alexia, then do that. That's better. Yeah, I think more direct is always better. Now, a trick I think to remember as well is there's a balance with your slate. Like I try to somehow channel the character a little bit in the slate as well while maintaining my personality, if that makes sense. So it's hard to verbalize, but I think there's a balance that you can find for yourself in that. The name of the editing software it's just Microsoft Video Editor. It's just something that comes with the Microsoft computer if you have Microsoft on your computer. Thoughts I'm blinking too much / not enough. Hand gestures, moving in front of the camera. Well, there's a power in stillness, right? I think everything you're doing has to be character driven. So this is going into more of an acting lesson, which is fine, but you have to be interpreting the character physically and also emotionally and verbally. So if you're blinking because you're nervous and you're moving your hands because you're nervous, like you're doing that stuff, then it's just you being uncomfortable with the scene because you probably haven't worked enough on the material and you're not feeling prepared. So that means you have to prepare more. So you don't feel that nervous energy, and that nervous energy is not channeled into your body, because that's what that is nervousness being channeled into your body physically. So that just comes down to prepping more. Tips for making your eyes alive on a self-tape. Listening is how you be alive. Is just listen to what's going on, which is hard. It's easy to say, it's very hard to do in any scenario, whether that be a self-tape or that be in the room, because there's things that go on. You're in your mind trying to think that you want to hit all the beats that you've prepared and you can do, and sometimes you're stuck in your head, and so sometimes you just need to forget all that. I literally will shake it out. Like I literally will get up and jump around and shake it out and like do push-ups or do whatever I need to do to physically get all the stuff I've pre-planned out of my body, and then do the tape, because like I'm all jumbled and I've done the preparation, so I know the words, I know the beats, but if I jumble myself up and I just dive into it, maybe something cool will happen. But making your eyes more alive is just a matter of listening. So making sure that you're paying attention to what's being said and you're really wanting something from the person you're talking to. That's a thing to always remember with your acting, is that no matter what's happening in the scene, you should never want that person to leave. Like that's never a good action to play, if them to get away from you. If they get away from you, the scene's dead, and then there's no reason for it to be in the TV show or the movie. There's no reason for the writer to have written it if that's what the character wants. So think past that. That's just lazy acting. If you're just thinking, well, I want the character to leave. That's my objective. No, it's not your objective. That's just you not doing the work. So find a better objective, that you want something from that person. And if you want something from that person, then you're going to be alive because you're interacting with them like a person does in real life. That's a good question. It's a great question, actually. Any other questions you have? Otherwise, we'll move on. Okay, I'm going to move on. So I'm going to show you guys the audition. So yeah, we'll get to watch the full audition, and we'll just watch it straight through. And then I think I'm going to jump back up on the editing suite there, and I'll kind of stop and go, and maybe I can run through some different questions you guys have and explain the choices that I made. So Amir, if you can pull it up there, then I'll join you at the editing suite. Okay, so I'm back at the editing suite here. So, just moving some stuff around. So I'm going to play the tape now, and I'll be silent. We'll watch it all the way through to the end of the slate, and then we'll go through questions, and we can stop and go, and I can explain some of the reasonings behind what I did, and I can maybe explain a bit of, well, let me just explain some context for the scene too, just so you guys understand. So this movie is called Unfaithful. So the character of Paul Martel that I'm playing, he's been having an affair with an older woman named Connie. She's married to the husband, to the man, Edward, who shows up at my door in this scene. She has a young son. We've been having an affair for some time in the city in New York. No, maybe it's not in New York. It's just maybe it's Chicago or someplace like that. I think it's Chicago. And the husband showing up at my doorstep for the first time. It's the first time we're meeting each other face to face. Okay, so here we go. Yes?
You're Paul Martel.
Yes.
How old are you?
Who are you?
Edward Summer. Connie's husband.
Oh. Shit.
May I come in?
Oh, okay. Do you want to sit down?
No, thank you.
Do you want a drink? I know it's early, but I think this qualifies.
Why not?
I had scotch, vodka.
Vodka. Is it cold?
Yes, keep it in the freezer.
So do I. So tell me, how did you meet my wife?
It was an accident. She was on the streets. There was a windstorm. She hurt her knee.
Oh, you're him?
She told you about that.
Yes. Well, how's it going?
Fine. I mean, good.
This is where you meet?
Yes?
She likes it here?
Guess she's never complained.
You stay in all the time, or do you go out too?
Yeah, sometimes we go out.
And she likes it. Or she likes this neighborhood.
Yes. It's more exciting than the suburbs, I guess.
Did you know that we've been married for 10 years? We have a son.
Yes. She told me. More.
Yes, please. Yeah, he's the reason we moved out of the city. Connie thought it would be best for him.
She told me that was your idea.
You talk about me?
Not really.
It's a lot of books.
It's a lot of buying and selling. That's what I do. You like that?
Where did you get this?
It was a gift.
from her.
I didn't know it did that. I don't know. I guess she wanted to buy me something.
She didn't buy it for you, I gave it to her. And I can't do this.
What?
I don't feel well.
What, do you want some water?
No.
Hi, this is Dakota Daulby. I'm 5'10". I'm represented by Andrew Webster in Vancouver and Ali Ash Entertainment in Los Angeles. Thanks.
Yeah, so, yeah, I'll back it up, no problem. I was just saying, so that's the audition. Amir is going to pull up something for you guys. I think he has it up on the computer already. This is called, I call it my character breakdown sheet. So this is a sheet that I use for every audition that I get. It's just different kind of tips and reminders for myself, and just a way for me to break down my scenes. So I use it for this particular audition, and like I said, I use it for everything. Now all this resource as well as that audition is going to be in the folder for you guys to review. So it's all going to be there, so no worries. But first off, any questions? There was a question I saw there about props, so that's a good question. So yes, I'm using a prop in that scene. I think because you're at home and you're taping it yourself, there's some lenience with that, in my opinion anyways. If the prop is essential to the scene, then I think, yeah, it's fine. The reason now, with that said, I did think about not using a prop, which is the glass. But I decided to use it because I felt it was essential to the scene, because the character's drinking alcohol, right? Which is a way to cover up the nervousness. And it's also that glass is a way for him to bury his anxiety into it, right? It's, you know, he can fiddle with it. We talked about twitches and stuff like that. This character would have those things going on because he's uncomfortable with Edward, who's the husband, confronting him this way. So that glass was a way for him to hide behind, in a sense. So as long as the props that you're using are essential to tell the story, and for you to get to where you need to be emotionally for the character, then I think it's fine. I think you can definitely overdo it though. So if you're getting to a place where you're using props just because it looks cool and you think it's gonna like make your tape look interesting, probably not. It's probably just gonna distract people and take away from your performance because they're like, what is he holding? Is that like is that what kind of glass is that? Like, oh, that's a cool, like, I mean, maybe even, I don't think so, but maybe like the glass would be distracting for somebody. I don't think so. And if it is, then my audition obviously isn't good enough anyways, so it doesn't matter. But I think there is a line that you can cross for sure. Any other questions about that tape? So, and while the questions come up, I'll just explain a little bit. So I think it's always important when it comes to audition tapes is to have a really clear moment before. Now, Amir, is that sheet up?
It was. Want to back up?
Yeah, please pull it back up. So you guys can see a sheet in front of you right now. Again, this is the character breakdown sheet. So at the very top, I have just a list of reminders for myself. These are all things that I have bad habits of doing. So it doesn't mean it applies to you guys, but it's just my reminders to myself. So these are my own, issues that I do. Like I play emotion rather than, I just like little things like that I always want to work on. So just reminders to myself. But there's a part in there where I have a section where it goes, it says 2, or I think it says 2 plus / minus or minus to plus. Now that's actually a writing technique that I felt was really good for acting because I'm a pretty visual person. So for me, and this is something I've come to recently, so it's not something I've known for a while, but for me this helped because it gives me a way of visualizing that the scene itself, every scene I do has to start at one place, whether it be a plus, like a positive place, like I'm in the character is literally in a good place, and then it goes to a negative place. So for this, I wanted to try, him answering the door, there's this old guy in front of him, like looking at him like he's almost hitting on him. He's like who are you? Like what do you want, bro? Kind of thing. It's a positive place because it's like I feel empowered as a character, right? It was where I wanted to start the scene. Then throughout the course of the scene, I wanted to get to the negative because I die, and I become belittled and belittled and belittled throughout that scene, right? And he's fighting for his manhood, essentially, to be strong in front of this guy that is physically more intimidating than I am. Because if you haven't seen the movie, he works in military. He's like a very intimidating person, a very poised person. And also, the way he walks around his space is just totally demasculating. So I knew that was going to happen throughout the scene, so I wanted to find a way to start the scene in the opposite place. So at least, if this is the only scene I have to do, if this was a real audition, then at least that shows some sort of curve, right? So I think that's a very crucial thing and hopefully helpful for you guys in finding a visual way to actually see a transition for the character within that scene. And also, if you happen to do writing, it's a useful tool for that as well, to make sure that every scene has some sort of inflection, whether positive, negative, or negative to positive. There's a lot of different things on there. I'm not going to go through it today. I'm going to go through it more on the Zoom when we do our Zoom follow-up. But please go through that sheet. You will have an audition that you're going to have to self-tape. So if you feel like it helps you, you're welcome to use that and to break down the character. Then we're going to follow up on Thursday. I think my Zoom is at 4 p.m. And we can discuss any issues you guys are having with character in terms of breaking it down. And we'll go through that sheet in more detail. Yeah, but again, going back to the slate, I wanted to make sure there's a clear moment before, so the character had an opinion coming into it. I tried to achieve that by, I was kind of eating something, I don't know, I sometimes do that, I sometimes don't do that, it can be distracting. So I guess I'd be interested to know if you guys found that distracting or not. But I thought I would try it just for the sake of this, to give it a go. I don't know if I would always do that. I think I've done that in auditions before, and the cast director's like, so that was great, Dakota, but let's do this one. Just don't do the eating thing again. You don't eat, and you're like, yeah, no problem, sure, no problem. And your mouth is all like dry and shit, and you can't talk because you got food in it. So that's a decision to make for sure. But again, it has to be character driven. I felt it kind of was, just kind of made him feel a bit empowered. I just felt that intrinsically, I guess. But I wanted to make sure a clear moment before, obviously. Always be very specific, like I said, with your eye lines. So you have your reader know exactly where that person is. If they're doing a lot of moving around, making sure you develop or create those movements in your mind, like actually use your imagination to know what they look like. That scene had a little bit with the snow globe is what Edward is playing with. So I had to create what that snow globe literally looks like for me, or what it looks like when he pulls a little sound lever at the bottom. What Edward looks like, because I know who the actor that played him, I just used him. Then you're also wanting to create, for this scene, I was having an affair with a lady named Connie, so creating what those moments were, like when I met her on the street, when she scraped her knee, that kind of stuff. I had a question from Franny here. So do you recommend doing an entrance? So entering the scene. Again, I think that comes back to whether it requires it in the scene. A lot of auditions I've done, I'm just there. You're just living in the space. A trick I do sometimes, if it's like the characters are laughing or there's like a nice conversation happening at the beginning or some sort of flirtatious thing, I try to improv a little bit with the reader beforehand, telling a funny story. Just what, honestly, it's like something stupid, it doesn't matter. But like getting us in a place where we're laughing and we're kind of having fun to pretend like you're in that place. And then I cut into it a little bit, like I fade into that moment at the very end of it. So it looks like there's a life happening before the slate. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of weird sometimes when your audition comes in and it's like the person's here, then suddenly they're acting. And it feels very much like a performance. So I think by improving a few moments before, like the few beats prior to when the scene begins, you can create a bit of a world for yourself and for the character, and then just fade into it. So it feels like a smooth transition. In terms of exiting, it's not a question, but in terms of exiting the scene, I think again, depends on the scene. I often would choose to stay in the scene, and just because I'd rather play that moment on camera, like, and have the other character leave, whether it's written that way or not. If it's possible, I put that kind of in quotations, if it's possible, or because sometimes it's crucial to the scene that you leave. But if it's possible that you can kind of reimagine it, I think it's better that you're the last thing they see, just simply put, rather than having it be a black backdrop or like you walking out. It's just usually more powerful of you standing there and with that last beat. Any other questions about the audition itself and maybe how I cut it, or just in general? Okay, no problem. So again, we're going to go over the character breakdown sheet on Thursday. So you guys will have that resource. Please look through it at the very least, read through it. If one or two things help you, awesome. If it all helps you, great. If nothing helps you, then that's too bad. But I believe a few things there will help you at least. So read through it and find those moments that are useful for you. Now, I'm just going to quickly, we're going to be done at 6. So I'm just going to quickly talk about the assignment. We might be finished a little bit early, but if we're done a little bit early, then we can just do a bit of a question period at the end. So just so you guys know, so what's going to happen now is in your folder, there's a scene that I found. I'm not going to tell you the name of it. I wrote it out so that no one will know what it is. You guys are going to self-tape yourselves. Hopefully the stuff I've given you is useful to help you guys with that. You're going to have all these materials that we've talked about today and we've brought up on the screen for you available to you to use as a resource. So use them if you need them. We'll be meeting on Thursday. Your slates will be due on Monday. Okay? I'm just going to pull it up to make sure. Yeah, your slates will be due on Monday, April 13th at 6 p.m. So you're going to be sending them via WeTransfer. Okay? It's all been provided to you guys, so you guys have it all written down. It's going to be going to my email, dakota@newimage.ca, as well as anna@newimage.ca. Has to be sent to both emails via WeTransfer. So we're treating this like it's a real audition. So you need to format it properly, you need to label it properly, you need to do these things like a proper audition, okay? Just to cover again, it must be formatted MP4. Labeling it, like we talked about, it must be labeled the way it's written on the scene. I think I named the project Androgynous Scene, just so you can use that as if it were the name of the movie. And then the name of the character that you choose to play. There's 2 options for you, and then your names, first and last. Okay? You're going to have to do a title card, like we talked about here. If you have an agent, you can put that in. If you don't, put self-represented. All right? You're going to have to do, then the audition piece will come after that, then end off with a slate. Again, if you're self-represented, just say, for instance, hi, this is Dakota Daulby. I'm reading for character name, and I am self-represented. Okay? Yeah, to clarify for you, Crystal, we won't be showing the auditions on Thursday. No, we're going to be just talking about them. So you guys have till Monday to complete your tapes. Okay? So then Monday, then we're going to go through them, and then we'll talk about the tapes at a later date. So we'll just be going through the actual process of taping, and I'll be giving you guys advice in terms of character, and maybe posing some questions, and it'll be more of an informal discussion that we can talk about just auditioning in general, and just if you guys any questions you guys think of in general, we can go through them But it'll be just a matter of us going through the actual resources and stuff like that on Thursday. I'm just looking for some questions here. Yeah, okay, yeah. Doesn't seem like there's any other questions. Just make sure, is that clear? If it's not clear, you can send you can send an email to anna@newimage.ca if you have any questions about the actual process, and she can help you with that, okay? Let me just transfer here. Yeah, that pretty much covers everything, guys. Yeah, actually, Amir, can you pull up that audition scene for them quickly, just so they can see what it looks like? Thank you.
The one we already watched?
No, the material that they'll be auditioning with. It's called Acting Assignment Androgynous Scene. Okay, so on screen, this is the scene that you guys will be playing. So there's 2 character options depending on age. Just choose the one that you would like, male and female. It doesn't matter. You can play either one. And intentionally, just so you know, I intentionally left it very blank in terms of the description and stuff like that, because I want you guys to fill in the world and make it feel like there's a world around you going on. Okay? So yeah, so you guys will have that available to you. Yeah, just to clarify, Crystal, maybe I think I just answered that question, but again, to clarify, either character can be male or female, or there's no sexes attributed to any of the characters. It's just age. So depending on age, you guys can choose a character. A lot of you are younger, so you guys will be choosing the same character, which is fine. But I wanted to make it available for all ages. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that pretty much covers everything, guys. Hope you guys had fun, and hopefully this was informative for you. You know, it's gonna be fun. We're gonna do some tapes. We're gonna do a few of these, so I'm gonna be coming back for 3 different sessions for now. We might do more afterwards, but for 3, we're gonna do 3 for sure now. So that's not been the last time you guys will see me. But this is really fun. You know, this is an exciting thing that we're doing at the school and transitioning onto online platform. It's you know, it's new for us, but it's something that we've wanted to do for a while. So kind of ironically, the world events have pushed us into doing this. And every time we're gonna do it, it's gonna get better and better. So if you guys have feedback about, you know, things that could be improved on, let us know so we can improve on it. But they're gonna get better and better every time we do it. And, you know, we're gonna keep doing these because it's important that you guys have things to do and are acting and staying creative. You know, it's a weird kind of time. There's a lot of stuff going on in the news, and I think it can get you guys down. I know for myself, I'm an artist, so it definitely affects me. I'm pretty empathetic to a lot of that stuff, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are as well. So try to find things that are creative that keep you positive. You know, I was thinking this morning, I'm hanging out with my little niece, and we're having breakfast, and that's something that we wouldn't normally do because she wouldn't be here. She wouldn't be with me. We're all kind of bunkered away. So we're all kind of together, bunkered away. So we get to hang out, which is really nice. So I think find those little things that we can be thankful for during the day because they're there. You know, there's a lot of negative stuff that's going on, but there's positive things too. So let's find those and let's do some cool tapes. And I'm excited to see what you guys got going on and bring your ideas. Yeah, that's the biggest thing is bring your ideas. Okay, I want to see choices. I want to see you guys, you know, creating a character. They're very blank. Right? There's a blank slate. So, you know, make these characters into real people. Bring ideas, okay? But with that said, make sure the tapes are good in terms of quality. So, you know, don't do any like, you know, crazy camera movements or Hitchcock stuff, okay? So we're treating this like it's a real tape you're sending in to an audition, okay? And now I'm just looking to see if there's any other questions. Yeah, I'll see you guys all Thursday. You're very welcome. We're gonna end a little bit early because I am out of material, so I have nothing else kind of to give you guys. So if you guys just want to stare at my face, I don't know if a half an hour of that would be super exciting. But is there any other questions before we go? No, I don't think so. So Franny, my email again it's all going to be in the drive for you guys. So it's all there listed. It's Dakota@newimage.ca. But any specific questions about the way we're doing this in terms of course-related stuff, all goes to ann@newimage.ca. Okay, so nothing like that goes to me, and if you send it to me, I'll just forward it to her anyway, so I won't respond to you. But I'll talk to you guys all on Thursday. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly, Jessica. The delay on the Skype call or pauses were a choice. That's a good question. So just clarify what you mean by that, like in terms of the pauses I took in the scene, like when I wasn't speaking. Is that what you mean? Just waiting for the answer. If that is the question, then yeah, that was by choice, because it was actually written that way. It's funny you say that, because that's something I talked to my friend about. We do a lot of TV auditions, right? So, and this was a film, so again, it's very different. So TV is very fast paced. There's no pauses, because it's changing, because it's Netflix, right? And Hulu and Amazon, it's all streaming, so there's no commercials anyways. But with cable, they have certain time slots, literally, that things have to fit within. So I learned this is a funny story. So I learned this on a show called Falling Skies. So for a lot of years, and I probably still do, I talked super fast. So I work very hard at being clear for everybody. But I did that a lot in my acting too. So I got this character, his name was Kent Matthews, in a show called Falling Skies, which is a Spielberg show. It was with Noah Wiley, and yeah, Amir's gonna pull up a photo. Actually go up, Amir, it's on the left. The guy with the blonde, on the far left. Yeah, that guy there. So that's a character I played called Kent Matthews. So just to give you a little background on the show, called Falling Skies. It's a sci-fi show. Aliens come take over the world, and this family, the Mason family, develop like a rebellion gang essentially, and fight these evil aliens. And I played a character in the 4th season who was brainwashed by the Shveni, I believe they're called, which are the bad aliens. And I was essentially like a Hitler Youth kind of esque character that was modeled after. So I played this kid that would brainwash these young kids that we kidnapped into fighting for the Shveni and giving up their parents who are in the rebellion, including Noah Wiley's character. So I was playing this character, and I had this idea of talking really slowly, because it was character driven, because he's in command, he has all the power, he has no hurry, right? Everyone runs off his time, but it's also every word he says has to be followed, so he's very clear. But I took that kind of I was young, so I was maybe 19 or something, 18, 19, 20 in there, and I took it to an extreme. I talked really slow, I had a lot of beats. And I remember the showrunner, who was also directing that episode, was like, Dakota, you gotta talk faster, man. Like we have to get this in within a certain time slot. We need 40 seconds off this clip for it to work. So you need to speak up. You need to take out the pauses. So that was kind of a hard lesson to learn, which is a great lesson. I guess what I'm saying is, with TV, there's a certain pace that we have to keep. With film, which this was a film audition that I was showing you, there's no pace. Films can be 2 hours, they can be 90 minutes, they can be, 3 hours if you're Christopher Nolan, so you can take your time. But this particular script, it was literally written that there was a lot of pauses, because it's a very awkward place that these characters are in. They're meeting each other for the first time, they're assessing each other, they're taking each other's physicality in. So yeah, those choices and pauses were all on purpose. So if you can find those within your scene, and I think there are a few that are naturally there, and find them, and don't be scared, and be brave to take them. It's important that you take control of the moments that are given to you. And hell, if you're doing an audition for a TV show and you feel that there's a moment where you can take the pause, and you feel like the scene and the character deserves the moment, it's not just you basking in your own ability and your own actory moment, it's not like an ego thing, then take it and let them be the ones that redirect you, or let them redirect you on the day. I would always take that moment in the audition room or on the audition tape because more often than not, every other actor isn't going to take that moment. So I'll take it, for sure. So I think you guys should be those people too. Yeah, okay guys. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for spending it with me. I enjoyed talking to you. Thanks for all the wonderful questions. And I'm going to see you guys again on Thursday. All right, have a great day. Bye-bye.